Alright, what's up guys? Today I wanted to make a quick video about how to render your loops. I know that a lot of people have probably talked about it, but you know, there's a couple methods that I've used or still use, and I would just like to share them. I would like to share the sauce. That way you can export your loops like a pro and people won't be confused with all the stems, or maybe they won't have the effects bleeding over into each other, or maybe, you know, the file size won't be like super big or anything to where they're gonna not use it before they even listen to it because it's taking forever to load. I'm gonna cover all that, and hopefully you find this super helpful, and yeah, let's just get straight into it. So you might look at this and say, that's not a loop, that's a beat. And yes, you are correct, it is a beat. It's a beat that I made, and I don't like making loops separate from beats very much, just because I like to make beats. I like to complete something, and whenever I make a loop I feel like I only did half of something. So I usually like take all the beats that I made from the month and just take the drums out and make a loop out of the melody. And you might be frowning upon that, you might be saying, you lazy boy, and I respect that, but you got to realize there's going to be people out there that can flip your melody better than you can. So just what's the harm in having an extra melody? Still your melody, you know? Why not render it out? You made it, so why not render it out and send it to people, you know? Because there's going to be people that, you know, like I said, do it better than you. I don't know if anybody else does that, like renders loops that they made from beats, but like I said, I just don't really usually make loops separate from beats unless I'm working on like a kit or something. But yeah, so anywho, with that out of the way, I have this full beat right here, and I'll play the beat actually because I'm really proud of this beat. This beat's cool. And then I'll show you how I take this beat and I turn it into a loop, and then how to render the loop. I'm gonna go over two separate ways. Both have their pros and cons, and they're both great ways though. And I've used both ways, so we'll just get into it. So here is the beat. This is so you can hear the melody, definitely not so I can show off a really cool beat that I made. Okay, so that's the beat. And usually what I'll do from here is just remove all the drums like that. And then I have automation. I'll usually try and put that at the top because I like to have the automation go throughout the entire thing. And then from there, I usually have a 4-bar arrangement for all of my loops like this. And whenever you make it into beats, you already have the, or 4 8-bars. You already have those 4 8-bars. So I literally just take the drums out, take the intro out, and then I move the 4 8-bars over. Just so I already have an arrangement here. And now I might change some stuff. Like I want this vocal to come in early because when people listen to the loop, I want them to hear that there's that vocal there because it's more interesting. It'll hook whoever's listening a little more. And I also want to bring the bass in early on so that they know that there's a bass in there, you know. And then I'll take one of each sound like this, line it up like that, and we'll come back to that in a second. But here is kind of like just a simple arrangement. And then it comes over here and it changes up. And then this is just so like whenever they're making a beat, they don't have to stem it out and then make a whole arrangement just while they're trying to put drums on it, you know. I'm sure that you guys have gotten loops where they have an arrangement like this and you just start putting drums on it like this and you don't even worry about this over here, you know what I'm saying? So I like having an arrangement. Also, it kind of allows you to show off the potential of the beat. You know, if you arrange the stems a certain way, it can sound really cool. Or if you have a switch up like this, it'll allow you to show that off as well. So I really like having the 4 8-bar arrangement. You can imagine it like a hook and a verse right here just without the pre-hook, which you can put a pre-hook in if you want to. I only do the hook in the verse right here because this is where I usually have my drums. Now, coming back to this, I have this all lined up, right? Just all like how it's supposed to be, but all in one 8-bar segment here. So this is where you're going to start stemming out. Now there's two ways you can do this, and I've personally done both. So let's go over the easy, most efficient, bang your loop out in like 10 seconds flat arrangement or stemming here. So you want to have these gaps. I have a 8-bar gap right here to separate the stems and the arrangement, just so it's very, very well known. Hey, the stems are starting. That's why there's a big gap here. But then in between stems, I only do a 4-bar gap, just this much. This should be enough for any effect to kind of linger off enough to where you wouldn't notice it if it is still there in the next stem. So I found that this 2 bars is fine. You can go 8 bars if you want. The only reason I don't go 8 bars is because big 8-bar gap here means stems are starting, and then little gaps in between the stems, you know, mean that it kind of just, I use the bigger thing to differentiate between stems and arrangement, so I don't want to use that same big gap over and over again. Also, it's just going to make the file size a little larger because it's going to be longer. But literally all I do is I'll highlight the first 8 bars and then the next 4 bars like that, and then I'll count over here. As you can see, the ones that you're using light up, the words will light up. This one's like grayed out, this one will light up. So we're using 8 tracks right now, but one of them is automation, so we're using 7 tracks right now, but one of them's highlighted right here, so we're only going to have to Control B this 6 times like that, right? 6 times. It's just quick math. You can also just do it a bunch and then do the same thing I'm about to do, but I like to challenge myself a bit. And then what I do is I highlight everything except for the automation, because I like the automation to go throughout the entire thing. I'll highlight all of these, and then I just hold Control and Shift and click on one of each of them like this, just one by one at an angle like that. See that? Boom. Now guess what? Everything you don't need is highlighted, so you can just press delete and there's your stems. So it's a lot easier than you know, having to go like hup, 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 up, you know what I'm saying? It's just a lot quicker. You know, you just click, 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 boom. Stems, done. Then you can just render it, you know? It's also easier than just like having one of these and then dragging it out like this, and then like this, and then like this. Because you might accidentally do like something like this and it'll throw everything off. So I just like to boink, 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 boink. And I forgot to not highlight these, so. Boom, there you go. And then this is going to apply to both methods, so I'll go ahead and cover it now. For iRender, I like to move it over 2 bars like this, because sometimes you'll get a big effect pop at the very beginning for whatever reason. So I've moved it over 2 times just to kind of clear that out. And then Control A, highlight it all. Come in here, click this render button right here, or the record button on the master right here. Alt R, or while you're on the mixer, Alt R, leave remainder, and click start. Okay, so the reason that we render it within the project and not just Shift R and render it that way is because we have this 2-bar gap here. And also we can mess with the metadata a bit, which I'll show you in a second. I'll show you that at the very end. But yeah, then we have this 2-bar gap right here, and you can just go into Edison right here. Control Shift Delete to get rid of loop points, and then kind of just zoom in. Make sure your magnet thing is snap to 0 crossing, and you can just get it as close as you can to this right here. Boom, delete that. And then from here you can even normalize it if you want to, and then render it out from here. But we'll mess with the metadata in a bit. I'll do that after the second method because it applies to both. So there's one way of doing it, right? And the other way you can do it is you can do it like this. Instead of leaving a space like this, you could do the same thing we just did, just without the space, you know, and then do this. And now it's going to get really tedious, but you can automate with Fruity Balance the volume of each stem. So come in here, find Fruity Balance, right click on this, and then just tap A, come over here, just drag it down like that. And then it'll stop right when the other loop comes in. And you can just move it up like this. And the way that I used to do it is I used to just do it as the sounds are playing so I could tell which one it was. Just like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't really need to do the whole thing. I guess I can real quick to kind of show you what it's going to be like finished. But yeah, you can just automate it. And like I said, to come in here and make an automation clip real quick, just right click this knob and then just press A on your keyboard right here. Create automation clip. See how the A is underlined? That means if you just press A on your keyboard, it'll make an automation clip. So I'll go ahead and do that for the rest of it real quick so I can show you what it looks like. Okay, so now I got it done for all of the stems, and we'll move it over twice and render it just to show you kind of the pros and cons of both of these. So yeah, render it the same way, move it over, just highlight everything, shift right arrow a couple times, then come in here, press the record button on the master, Alt R, leave remainder, all that good stuff. And then you get left with this. After you delete the first two bars, this is what the person you send the loop's gonna see. It looks like one big blob, but all of the stems are seamless right now. So if I go over 8 bars from that, it's a new sound without any bleed over. So then all you have to do is find the first 8 bars and then just make a cut every 8 bars. Like that. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. Like that. And then line it up like that. And it's like really simple to mess with after that. It's all in line right there. You know what I'm saying? So there's the pros to that, is kind of like you're catering to the person you send it to a little bit more. But whenever you render a lot of loops at once, because like I said, I go through all my beats at the end of the month and render them as loops. I do the other method, the first method, because it's just copy, paste, 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 delete, move over, render. And that's pretty much it. But if you want to take the extra time, I used to do it like this every time, and it doesn't take that much longer. And it is really clean. Whenever you send it over that way. So you can do either way. I really like both of these methods, but like I said, dealing with automation like this, it can be a little tricky at first, but once you get the hang of it, you can be really quick. And then last thing I do before I completely render a loop is I go in here, put it in Edison, take the loop points out, and I take the first few bars out like this, and I go snap all the way to 0 crossing this, and theoretically that should eliminate most, if not any, of the like little gap in between the beginning of the loop and the beginning of the, I don't know, there's a gap between the beginning of the loop and the very beginning of the playhead thing. Sometimes it's not always there, but sometimes it is, and I think this might take that away. I'm not too sure. But yeah, because you're doing 0 crossing instead of just whatever. So anyways, once you do that, you want to make sure you zoom all the way out, by the way, because you'll only mess with whatever is on screen sometimes. I don't know if you understand that, but sometimes you'll accidentally only pull out what's on the screen, kind of like, oh, well, guess not. Anywho, zoom all the way back out, and then just right click right here where it says title, which can be the render title. Then right here you can put the name of the beat, the BPM, the key, and your Instagram handle, whatever on there, and right here. So since this is one that I am actually rendering for the month of April, I'm gonna title it as such. This beat was called Haste. It was sampled, so I put sampled in all caps. And then I'll put the sample title at the end in parentheses, so that if I send it out, they know how to clear it, just like that. Just like that. I usually don't put the key just because I've never, whenever I get loops, I don't look up the key or anything. I kind of just play it by ear. So that's kind of just a preference thing. And then I'll put my Instagram with the handle at the very end. Now I Control A and Control C that to copy it, and then I will delete the file name right here and put the same thing in the file name, and then in the comments I will put my Instagram handle like this, like that. And so this kind of messes with the metadata. Make sure it's all lined up. You got my Instagram right there, you got the title of the file, and then the file name is the same thing. So then you can just click accept and then render it to wherever you want. Let me find my loop folder real quick. All right, so here is my loop folder. I always render an MP3, by the way. It's not worth it to render it in Wave. I used to render it in Wave, but I found that it's not really worth it because you're usually emailing, putting it in Dropbox, whatever, and Wave will take so much space up and it will take so much longer to load, and people will just skip over your stuff because they don't want to wait that long for it to load. They want to listen, decide if they want to use it or not, and move on. So Wave is gonna, like, it's gonna take forever for them to sort through that, and so they might just give up and not listen to your loops at all. So, and like I said, it also takes up a lot of space, and there's like Gmail space and all that stuff, and especially with Dropbox Drive, all that stuff, you don't want to fill it up on just a bunch of Wave loops. So I render it in MP3, put it in a loop folder like this, click save. I just leave it like that. I don't know if there's a big difference or not. You can do whatever you want. I usually just leave it, and then I just wait for the little, my cursor was like a little clock there for a second, and then once it changes back to your cursor, that means that it's rendered. And you can come in here, and I have my loop folders right here, and you can come in here, refresh the browser, and it's right here. Awesome. Okay, so this is the folder, or the properties of the file that we just rendered, the loop, and I want to see if the metadata is still here. So right here, boom, title right here, it's right there, and the comments, it has it right here. So you know, you can just go in here and boom, there's my Instagram right there. That's how you know I made it. Also, it's a little cleaner because then it'll have title, comments, all this stuff, so you can sort it more ways, all that stuff in the file explorer. There's a few pros to doing this. Why not? You're already there to render it. Why not just take the extra precaution, make it a little more professional looking, and all that. Make sure it's nice and clean. But yeah, that is how I render my loops. I think it's a very, very, very efficient and professional-ish way to render your loops, both methods. Like I said, the first one's a little more efficient, still professional though. And the second one's more professional, less efficient, but still pretty efficient. So yeah, hopefully this helps you out. Hopefully you can render your loops at the speed of light now. Go get some placements. Let me know in the comments down below if this helped you, or leave a comment on how you usually render your loops. Maybe it's better than my method. It probably would be. There's definitely people that do it better than me. So I would like to hear all of those methods down below. Also leave a comment on any video ideas you have. Leave a comment about all that stuff. Check the link in the description for merch, Instagram, everything, Beat Store, all that, kits, everything. It's all in one link in the description, so be sure to check that out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.